All right, guys. So, what do we do next? So, we've done a little bit of research, right, of what makes a good logo. And by now, right, we should have your selected species right here. Okay. So here we go. Excellent example. Um, Marion. Let's see, let's click on that tag right there. And these are all the different photos that you guys have uploaded for the assignment. All right. So you looked up three, right? You looked up three species. You now know what you are doing or what we're doing as a class. All right. So now let's pick one. All right. Let's start working with one. And let's see how that starts going. Now, now you know that we are developing a logo for such plant or species. Mm, think about which one would you like to use in order to develop that logo. Now, in my case, for this example that I have worked out right here to, show you guys or show to the class, I actually went for one that I would not typically pick. For many reasons, right? And again, I've done some sort of a similar exercise, different times. Um, and usually, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, that's kind of like the purpose of these beautiful colors. But for the most part, students tend to go for this, colorful and I guess what we can call pretty. Species, which are the ones that have the flowers, or even the ones, this one, like the cactus, has again the flowers, the colors. Um, I find that being the majority of times, the students tend to go towards those, which is interesting because that's kind of like the purpose of those colors, right? To attract animals and insects so that they can pollinize, and it happens to the humans as well. But not always, right? I mean, like this one, for example, right? Um, Skunk bush, sumac scientific name. In the spring, yellow and white flowers make the plants stand out. And that's also what's interesting, right? I mean, some of these plants change through the seasons, and there's flowering season, and I mean, they change throughout time. So again, rather than going for one, what I think it's an easy one would be something like this one. I feel there's a lot of preconceived notions of this kind of geometries and drawings in our minds that perhaps are not going to allow us to creatively explore. Again, nothing wrong with this ones, okay? If you want to go for any of this, that's fine. But in order to develop this example right here, I decided to work with, again, or I guess challenge myself and go for something that I was like, I have no idea in the world how I would translate that into a logo. And I picked this fella right here, the bear grass, aka Nolina species, right? Nolina is a grass-like plant. They are related to the lily family and produce large flowering spikes that are covered with inconspicuous flowers. The spikes remain dried up after the seeds have been dispersed, occur as clumps on hillsides and in canyons. All right. So for me, this one seems a little bit of a, like a little bit of a, like, like fajita, or like, like an ugly plant, right? That people will be like, oh, like I want to have something like this, right, in my garden. Not sure if I want to have something like this. I'm not saying everyone. I'm not saying, just saying that I'll go for this one. All right. So pick one. Pick one either to challenge yourself. Pick one either that really motivates you, right? If it's that one, then that's fine. But think about the overall kind of plant itself. All right. Because I mean, again, even though they might be the same species or it's the same species, it's interesting how different plant might grow differently, right? Just like humans, right? We're all humans, but there's all sorts of flavors, right, and colors in terms of well, anything, right? I mean, that makes us unique. The same with plants, all right? So it's a lot about what image do you start basing your work off of, and of course, what species you are working with, okay? Um, so, okay, that being said, right? I went with the Birdgrass nolina species. Now, going back to our initial research right here, right? After we explore some of the logos, right? What is it that we need to do, right? Well, it's suggested by this article right here that we get to know the brand. Now, these plants right here, these species are not a brand, but they will be our client. And what if we were to start a brand, right? The birdgrass brand, the Nolina species brand. That would be interesting, you know? So we'll play with that. We'll play with that dynamic. So, as a good designer and student that I am, right, I went into the task of researching, right, the Birdgrass nolina. I wasn't even sure if what's the name? Is it Birdgrass? Is it nolina? Like what's going on right here, right? So did a simple research, and these are some of the this is some of the information that I found. All right. So Nolina is a genius, blah blah blah, right? Nah, I'm not gonna read it, right? But I learned a lot, right? So the first thing that I want us to develop is develop this sort of a data sheet, right? This sort of a data sheet that I have developed right here. So part of it, right? Just kind of I don't need to rewrite all of the Wikipedia page in here, right? I really don't. Uh, but I did jot down certain things that I think at some point I could use either to brand the plant or to incorporate into the logo design, perhaps even the colors. It's interesting to see where the name is coming from and of course how all of that relates to the geometry of the plant itself, right? So turns out that Nolina, right, is primarily, and again, this camera has a terrible focus, but you know, it says right here Mexico and southern USA, right? So that means that its principal distribution is Mexico and southern USA, right? The name Nolina comes from Abe C.P. Nolin, who was an 18th century French arboriculturist, who I'm assuming is someone that studies plants, right? And then I have right here, it's a member of the genus known as bear grasses, right? So Nolina is part of bear grasses. So I think bear grasses, if I understand this correctly, is like a larger umbrella, right? In this particular, this is called the Nolina. Okay, so very simple, very short. Again, you know, kind of bringing that out there. Maybe go ahead and you know, I started it with pencil, right? Um, and now we can maybe pull this thing up a little bit, right? So Molina, right? And you know, I won't go through kind of like writing everything. Now, um, to do this, let's do the following, right? Let's use um, either, in this case, I'm using dotted paper. You guys can see that right there, but it has some small dots. I need to do something about this camera. It's not, right? Or if you don't have dotted paper, this would do just fine, right? Gridded paper. It's really going to help us translate this both into Rhino, later on to Illustrator, and it's really going to help us keep everything in sync with the assignment of geometry. All right. So in this case, having your templates, if you have some, and of course your architectural tools, it's really going to work very nicely with gridded paper and or grid paper rather than using this white paper right here. I was using kind of like just that as an example. Okay, so I would like for each one of you guys to develop this, again, what I'm calling this data sheet, right? With the name of the species, a little bit of context into, where is it from? What's, again, in going back to the um, the article that we're reading right here, right? Getting to know the brand, in this case, the species. What makes Nolina the species that it is, right? So what makes it unique and special? So again, principally or particularly located in Mexico and southern USA. So you could say that, we're lucky to have it in the southern portion of the United States because apparently the rest does not have it. Where does the name come from? And of course, what I'm missing right here would be the scientific name, right? Which also could lead to a very, very, really interesting um, play of words and items for our logo design. So I would maybe add it somewhere over here. And then let's not forget to number them, right? So I want you guys to do 3 drawings, right? And I would encourage you to do 3 drawings from 3 different photographs, right? So the first one, let me see if I can pull it off right here. I think it was this one right here. This is the image that I used to create the first drawing. Now, this right here, these drawings are not a logo yet, right? What I'm trying to do is trying to get the species, I'm trying to get to know the species by my hand and my eyes and my brain. So the moment that I need to take that photograph on the screen, right on my screen, to this looks nice right here. There you go. Right. So you can see right here, right? I mean, so from the image right there on the screen, right, to my sketchbook right here, you'd be amazed on how much you learn. To be honest with you, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, whoa, this is a tough one. I mean, in my opinion, right? But as I started drawing it, right, trying to copy it, right, from again the screen, I started learning, right, the most important part, right? So pick 3 different images, and I encourage you to be different angles and even different scales. So I think at some point I came up over here. Did I use that one? I don't know. I don't know if I used that one. I think I used, I'm not sure if it's this one. It might be that one. I think it is actually. I use that one as well. This one right here would be this detail over here. Okay, so that's the one kind of like I was trying to use here. And this one, well, this one, I'm not really sure. I think maybe that's why I have this page open. I think it must have been this one. Yeah, it was this one. That would be this one right here, right? So pick 3 photographs and the best that you can, try to draw them without trying to turn them into a logo, right? Or an icon. We're not turning this into an icon yet. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. We're trying to learn, right? We're trying to understand where the connections are, right? I mean, there's a lot of kind of like dense spaces right here. I had not really noticed it, but it has like this little pelitos right there, this like kind of like little strings that kind of like curve. So I think that's very unique of it. So that's when I started kind of like doing this thing right here, especially on the top. It has kind of like these little things right here, right? If I can highlight it right here, kind of like that. And you see those things are kind of wild, and that makes it kind of like unique, right? I'm not sure if I would recognize it on the street, right? But it starts giving some character to this species right here, right? So again, you'd be amazed of all of the different things that you find that inform what what this plant is made of, how is it made, how is it grow, and ultimately is geometry. All right. So let's give it titles, right? In this case, I'm calling it elevation 1, elevation 2, detail 1, because it's kind of like a zoom in or a close up. Um, and let's number them, right? So this would be perhaps maybe use something smaller right here, right? So this would be drawing 1, right? This would be drawing number 2. All right, and this would be drawing number 3. And again, you may use different drawings right here. And here I was abbreviating, right? So right, elevation 1, right? Here I'm gonna call this elevation 2, and then this is gonna be detail 1. So if it is about recognizing the species, right? Think about what kind of viewing angle would give you a meaningful representation of the species so that even if you're looking, let's say, at, for example, this right here, you would, or the viewer would recognize that is that species that we are talking about, right? So perhaps, what I'm realizing is doing something like this. I don't know if, or using moving forward something like this, I don't know if it's specific enough to this species, right? Because again, as part of a great logo, right, we want to reflect a company's identity, in this case, the species identity, its core values and essence. I don't know if we can have core values for the plant, but we do have an essence. Um, get to know your client and their brand early in the design process. And it's exactly what we're doing right here. Getting to know our client, in this case, the plant, through the use of our hands, our eyes, technology, and our utensils. Okay, so I think that would be it for this second part, right? So again, we'll call this a data sheet right here for species number 1. All right. So, it's right. Um, name, right? Name origin. And so again, what makes your selected species unique? Okay. And we can give this title, right? Um, um, species data sheet. I'm kind of like running out of space right here, but what is this? So we have a title for this. You know, Definitely, by no means you're restrained to my organization or layout right here. As a matter of fact, you guys will have much better work, right? So, and I'll use three. Where's the three to do it? And I always like to date my drawings, even though I did these drawings previous days. All right, guys. I'll leave you guys there, and we'll come back and talk about what we are doing next. Okay. Step 2, data sheet.